Bill Cowher right here on the Rich Eisen Show, referring to NFL Icons, a terrific documentary series NFL Films produced. MGM Plus sprinkles its dust on it as well, and it's just awesome. And the 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific episode this Saturday featuring our guest right now, Bill Cowher. And again, you talk about your roots and where you grew up and becoming the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, but was there a time where you thought you would be the next Cleveland Browns head coach in your life, Bill? Did you think so?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was the next one, but the year before I went to Pittsburgh, I did have an interview with the Cleveland Browns at the last minute, the year that Bill Belichick got it. And it's interesting, and it's well documented in there. Bill and I go back to 1989. Marty Schottenheimer got fired after the 88 season. I went down to the Senior Bowl. Bill Belichick interviewed me. I got a call from Bill Parcells. Do you want to be the defensive back coach for the New York Giants? And at the same time, Marty went to Kansas City. So I said, well, you know what? Marty wants me to come with him there. So I ended up going with Marty. And long story short, I ended up becoming a coordinator and coaching linebackers. Bill Belichick, they hired Al Groh. He coached the secondary. And then him and I got together for an afternoon in New York Giants Stadium in 1989, prior to my first year as a coordinator. And I talked to him about defensive back play. He talked about linebacker play. 89 and 90 we have common opponents. We shared our thoughts about common opponents, got to know each other very well. And then 91 came, they won the Super Bowl in 90. And so, he gets interviewed, and all of a sudden, the last minute, they call me in to get an interview. And I'm like, wow, I was pretty young at the time, 33. And so it was like, wow, okay. So we came down to him and I. He got the job, as he should have. But that interview that I had, because I knew Mr. Modell very well. I knew Kevin Byrne very well. I mean, I played in Cleveland. I coached in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. My first two kids were born in Cleveland. So Cleveland was like my first home. I mean, listen, I remember running out there, and I was part of the 1980 Cardiac Kids. It was my rookie year. Then I got a chance to come back. I coached special teams, and I coached the dog pound with Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield. So I knew what that place was all about. And I ended up going back to my hometown in Pittsburgh. And so Bill and I went from friends to adversaries very quickly. So we're playing against each other. And And then, ironically enough, then he went to New England. And it's so funny because it was 2004. We lost to those guys in the championship game. We go back in 2005. We're getting ready for the Super Bowl. And Bill calls me up. And he had just gotten beaten by, I think, Denver the week before we beat Denver. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, listen, is there anything you need, like, on the Super Bowl? And I'm like, yeah, let me just pick your brain a little bit about the preparation, what you did. And really from that time moving forward, we kind of reconnected again. It was like, it's almost like 10 years of, in between there from 92 to 2005, 13 years, we didn't really talk much. We competed against each other. And, then I stepped down, and really from the time I stepped down, we become very good friends. We talk frequently, and so much respect for Bill, his history of the game, his respect for the game. He's a football coach through and through.
And if he respects you, I mean, that is the greatest, right? I mean, and obviously, you I'm sure serve as that for so many others as well, Bill Cowher. But I mean, for him to basically be, all right, adversaries. I mean, the Patriots and the Steelers, in the Brady era, you with Big Ben, I mean, you with Bettis, them doing their thing, and obviously everything that happened with you in the 90s, taking on the Cowboys, and for you to continue to build and become as terrific as a program you had. And then there's Brady and Belichick there, and then you make it to the Super Bowl, and he calls you after all of that. I mean, that is actually very typical of him, is it not, Bill? I mean,
it was really special, Rich. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I think the thing that both of us, we had a great passion for the game. We're both defensive coaches. We always, I had, at the time when he had LT, I had Derek Thomas, and I used to just throw LTs. Like, I throw tape of LT on there. Derek, you're almost there. What do you mean I'm almost there? I go, yeah, you're not as good as this guy. So, he's throwing on tape of Derek Thomas. So I said, yeah, why don't we'll just kind of amp the other two guys up and take it from their level. So it was, but it was built on respect. And even like when I stepped down, I used to still talk to him about blitzes and zone coverages and zone blitzes and dogs. And, I'd give him a couple times. I'd give him an offseason, like last 4 or 5 years. I give him a couple blitzes. He'd be calling me up. Hey, Bill, what happens on this motion? I go, well, let me think about this. I got let me put this. So we talk football. Still talk football, and he loves it. I love it. It's still a great passion of mine. I love game planning. I love the creativity that the football really is all about on both sides of the ball. You're talking about, we always talk about creating great, good-looking plays on offense, but defensively is the same thing. It's the ultimate chess match that's out there, and good defensive coordinators get a little bit creative in what they're doing week in and week out. Whether you're moving a certain player to get a great matchup or you're showing a certain thing. So that's what Bill is all about, and I love talking with football with him.
Well, then, on that subject matter, before we move on in the final minutes we have here with you, Bill, like what are you willing to share about what you think's going on in his head, his world, his thought process about what's going on right now?
He's in a period of transition. I mean, it's one of those things right now, and it doesn't just happen one year. It might be in another year, but listen, Bill's determined to catch Don Shula. I know that for a fact. And he would love to do it right there in New England. I don't know that. To have not talked with him about that.
Right.
I think he would love that to be the case. He's also realistic to know what the NFL is all about. So, I think he tried a little bit of an experiment last year. It didn't work. Brings in Bill O'Brien this year. They lost a couple of their tough offensive players or defensive players, a couple of weeks ago. So they're transitioning here. But, the game they put on the other day against the Buffalo Bills is still going to be the same thing. He knows the right buttons to push. He's going to get the most of what he has right now. And I just think talent-wise, they're not as good as they've been in the past. And he's having to acclimate to that. And he's trying to be resourceful and be creative with what he's got. But he's the ultimate competitor. And that's the one thing about him. He's going to give you everything he's got. He's going to turn over every stone with what he has. That's just who he is as a coach.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.